I know it sounds fickle, but some things look so nice you want to find an excuse to buy them almost without hearing them, and this is one of those things. It's the Wellspring from Teacher Machines, and in short, it's a stereo spring reverb, but that's really underselling it. It's more like an analog multi-effects unit. We've got an analog delay, modulation, and a multi-mode analog filter, followed by 2 springs per channel and a magic knob. Everything should have a magic knob. And if you haven't noticed yet, I don't think anyone did when I uploaded this shot to Instagram, so I'll point it out. I'm doing my best video editing here and blending between 2 tracking shots, one with the rack ears and one without. I was quite proud of that. Without them, it looks like a 1970s hi-fi separate, and with them, it looks like it belongs in a pro studio. And luckily, it really does sound as good as it looks. First came across this when I was in Machina Brastronica. I was keeping an eye out for analog effects and processors that could take the edge off digital signals, just to do stuff that you can't really do in your DAW as well as other things. And someone pointed this out to me, and it's analog, as I said, but it's a spring reverb. And I'm not a massive fan of spring reverb on synths. There's one in the Grandmother, but it reminds me of being back in school and plugging my synth, my Juno 2, into the guitar player's amp and using the reverb on that. It all sounds a little bit twangy normally and a little bit Beach Boys or the Shadows or something. But this is a completely different kettle of fish. I've got it with the Jupiter 4 here, and that's really not because the Jupiter 4 sounds good and to match analog with analog, but just because I needed something I could sit it on to get the shots in place so you could see what I was doing. And it does sound fabulous. It doesn't sound like what I would think a spring reverb would sound like. So let's just kick off, shall we, and have a little play. What we have here then is a delay and a filter. These are all stereo, and these are modulated by the modulation section in the center, and that feeds into the spring. So I'll turn the spring up. It does sound like a spring reverb, but it's a nice spring reverb. Much better than on something like my Grandmother. The synth, that is. Can't hear much on pads. Let's just go back to a snappier tone. But the clever bit here really comes with this section. So as I said, we've got the delay and we've got the filter, and they're both modulated by the modulation section. I'll go through the delay first, then the filter. So let's take the spring off. Let's turn this whole section up. So this is the dry stroke wet for this whole section. We can hear the delay there. Let's put it on to make sure the filter's off, high pass, and all the way down. So we're not listening to anything on the filter there. Okay, so the delay, stereo delay. This is the main time. This is the offset for the main time, or if you take it off follow, it's now free. That's 2 free times. Back on follow, so we've got adding time or taking time away, so making delay line 2 faster or slower, the rate faster or slower. Just take that modulation off. We'll make it delay line 2 quicker or free. And we've got this feedback in, and this is lovely, this feedback. So we're in ping pong mode. If we add some feedback. It's great, that, isn't it? Now watch your speakers. A lovely, lovely dubby style delay there. That's in ping pong, put it as parallel. It's wonderful. So you can go into all sorts of beautiful territory there. Okay, I'll look at the filter next, then play with the modulation. So filter, we've got high pass, band pass, and low pass, and a notch. So let's put it into low pass. We'll put it into fully wet, so we're just listening to everything coming through the filter. Let's turn the delay off, shall we? So it's a nice sounding analog filter. We don't have any control over the resonance. But you can hear there is some in there. Gentle, but nice, smooth. And then high pass mode. Band pass. Low pass, we've just heard. And one of my favorites is the notch. So I'm wiggling this, which brings me to modulation. We can automatically wiggle that using the modulation. So this is the rate, this is the amount of modulation to the filter. Nice. This goes into audio rate, go to times 10. Which is the source of all sorts of beautifulness when you're making little tracks. Let's put it into low pass and do the same. That's nice, isn't it? Beautiful. You can hear we got this really nice stereo effect there, and that's because we're in invert mode. And what invert mode does is it inverts the modulation to the left and the right. So we've got a sine or we've got a sawtooth. Let's put it on the sawtooth, and we'll put it nice and slow so you can hear what's happening. And modulate the filter a lot. So on invert mode, we're inverting between the left and the right. And if we sync them, so lots of things to play with here without even looking at the strings. Yeah, so that's sawtooth, put onto a sine. Every time I play with it, I find lovely little things. It makes you want to play with it. So let's add some spring into that as well, shall we? And what's happening here is because the filter's modulating the signal, we're not getting that resonance that you get, that sometimes nasty resonance you get with springs. So we're fully wet now. Let's bring a bit of the drier signal in on top of the filter. Band pass in there, maybe. Just full of beautiful tones. So that's the filter and the spring with a bit of modulation, but we've not got the delay in there either, have we? So let's bring some delay in on top. But let's turn the spring down. Let's turn the modulation off the filter and bring some modulation on the delay. So let's add some delay. As I say, it's full of little surprises, this. Modulate the filter as well. This modulation can be synced because you can bring in your, well, not this modulation, but you can bring in your own LFO in the back. There's a plus or minus 5 CV in the back, so you can sync it to other stuff. So all this can be synced. Remember, this is bringing in the dry stroke wet for the whole of this channel, the delay and the filter. So now we're ignoring the delay and the filter, so all your vintage units can do this. Your vintage spring reverbs, I mean. But I don't know any that can do this. So maybe now you can see why when they were playing it just through this little sort of rubbishy little M-Audio synth, I was absolutely gobsmacked by it. Really nice. Finally, we've got the magic knob, and the magic knob feeds back everything. So the spring and the filter and delay all back into itself. So with just the spring on its own, It doesn't seem to do that much. But once we bring this in, oh, let's give it a little tap. Great, isn't it? And I'm purposefully using a bright noise in this so you can hear what's happening. If I bring the filter down on this. Yeah, I have found you get a lot more feedback when you throw this into FM rates. Just gotta keep an eye on it. Like a lo-fi crackle almost. Whoa, it's like chorus that, isn't it? So I hope that gives you a really good impression of what this can do. I've not mentioned the guitar strobe line input at the front either, and the clipping LED, but other than that, I think I've showed pretty much everything I can think of, to be honest. It's taking a lot of signal there, isn't it? And just turn everything off. So yeah, there you have it. So there it is, the Wellspring from Teaching Machines. I thought it was being really clever looking at what Wellspring was, but it's actually in all literature as well. I really like this. I think it's got a really nice tone. When I first started playing it, I was blown away. They had on the stand in Machine and Bistronica this little M Audio synth, and it just made it sound amazing. So if you want to take standard sounding things and make them sound different, sound lush, sound not like you could make it sound in your DAW, and I really do think this is one of those things that you can't actually do in a DAW as closely as you can with lots of synthesizers and effects. You can make them sound identical to all intents and purposes to analog kit, but this I think will be difficult to recreate. So I'm a big fan of it. It isn't cheap. It's around £1,200, but that is comparable to the price of vintage used classic units. And to be honest, I'd much prefer to have this than one of the vintage units for obvious reasons. Things like this Jupiter 4, for example, since I've had it, in the year or two since I've had it, it's been back to get fixed a couple of times, and that's not under guarantee, is it? I think its nearest new competitor is this. It's the Vermona DSR3, but this doesn't have the filter, the delay, or that wonderful modulation. So it's a wonderful bit of kit. You know, do check it out if you're into making things sound a little bit spacey, a little bit nice, a little bit different than you can get in other places. So I hope that was of some use to somebody somewhere. If it was, please do subscribe, ring the bell, share, do all the rest of those things. This channel, as you know, is supported by my affiliate links, my YouTube ads, and my wonderful patrons who, for less than the price of a lukewarm macchiato a month, get access to patches, samples, tutorials, and lots of other goodies. Also, do take a look at my starskycar.com website. Again, there's patches, there's samples, there's things that you can pay for, and there's free stuff as well. And I don't know why I always ask people to go and buy some of the cheaper stuff, because no one ever does, and I keep on saying it, but there you go. Thanks for staying to the very, very end. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next time.